Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Mahala Monday. Fantastic to have you with us this evening.
That's right. It's this evening. You're still stuck in the morning, Dugald.
I am. Morning.
Good evening, Dugald.
Good afternoon.
Good evening, everyone.
We've got to go through all of them. Great to have you here with us. Thanks for joining us here at Mahala Monday. And of course, as always, please do us the big favor, subscribe and like this and definitely share this. That will mean the world. And of course, we look really forward to you doing that. And also, it's an interactive show, so we look forward to your questions and comments. Now, as always, it's only fair to say Rhoda's here. Hello, Rhoda. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Dugald.
I'm still, because I told you the story now, so I'm a bit...
Exactly, yeah. You guys, you know, the two of us always chat before the show, and we kind of have such a ball of time just laughing. So I think Dugald is still stuck there with his story.
I'm stuck with the story, man. Anyway, good story though.
It was.
Yeah, good story. But we'll share the story at some point, but not today. But looking forward to your comments and questions. Of course, it has been a wonderful week over the last while. Amazing things happening. People are freezing, which is great. And people are cold, which is lekker, especially Rhoda. So I'm very grateful for that.
True. Thank you, Dugald.
How cold are you?
I'm very cold, Dugald, very cold. Yeah, we had to, obviously, was at a funeral as well, and like, you know, it is cold. And I thought, geez, auntie, why you have to choose such a cold time? Seriously, it was so cold. So everybody had layers and layers of clothing, you know, so it's been very cold. It's been very cold. And this morning, for me personally, it was extremely cold. And then, yeah, let me just say it was very cold. Yeah. Yourself?
Yeah, no, it's good. Because yesterday, I must tell you, yesterday I was driving and there was hail. So that was like...
Oh.
Yeah. No,
Where
I
was
like
this?
it.
Where were you driving?
To town.
Oh, okay.
And so I was driving in a hailstorm. It was... I was thinking to myself, the raindrops look weird. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit noisy. You know
very
what I mean?
noisy.
He's telling the, like...
Shame, man.
Like, yeah, so, but it was fun. It was fun. But what are we doing tonight, Rhoda?
Yeah, I think I'm probably going to throw you guys out there at the back, but seeing we're talking about the floods and the disaster that's happening, is it possible we could probably just jump onto that, Dugald? Because there has been a lot of floodings. There's been some memes, some videos that I've been laughing about. And you know, I'm sorry to say, but Cape Town by far always have the best sayings. So we had a few guys that obviously said, oh, and so must swim, which in English means, guys, we have to swim, because the cars were floating in Cape Town. The reality, the fact was, we've had floodings, The rain's been very bad, and it's been very cold. And there has been, especially in, I don't know if in your community, but in our community, we had messages going out telling everybody, if you find somebody on the street, the shelters is open, they are taking in people because it is extremely cold. So it's been some very bad weather in Cape Town. And I believe Joburg as well, because our director was in Joburg this weekend as well. And the temperatures, he said it was like, when you go and buy beers, you walk into the fridge, that was it. That was the level of cold.
Oh.
Yeah, very cold.
No, this is there has been raining quite a bit, which is great. And I know it's been raining a lot because I saw somebody was selling snook on the side of the road and they had nothing to sell because they just
it was gone.
Left. And then also I knew I was worried when I saw animals walking 2 by 2. I was like, he said no. Now you know it's serious.
Now you know it's serious.
Now you know it's serious. There's a man walking there.
That's right. So, yeah. And then I do believe the gift of the givers has been out as well, giving people as well blankets and food and water. Because obviously, once you find yourself in these circumstances, that is first things that go. Your clothing, everything is wet. So imagine being in this cold and not having a blanket to keep yourself warm. So they have been busy, and they say there's more than 3,000 people who has been displaced with this weather, Dugald.
Was that just within the Cape Town?
That was just within the Western Cape that has been displaced, and that they're trying to assist. So if there's anybody out there that want to help them as well, please do get in contact with them. And then contact local shelters, clear our cupboards. Anybody out there, donate in the spirits of, obviously, Mandela Month's coming up. It is now the time to shine, people. Don't wait for Mandela Day. If you can assist, a lot of people is at this point without shelter. Please do help.
Yeah. No, it is. Look, the conditions are the way they are, of course. And it's one of those things, especially, we know the sort of thing happens every year.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? We hope it doesn't, but, it does. There's always lower lying areas, especially informal settlements. And obviously, the most vulnerable in society, they always get the worst affected. But yet there are people who deny global warming.
Hey, tell me
I mean, obviously it's part of winter, it's part of the course, I would say. But, let's be realistic.
And on top of that, Dougal, I just wanted to say something as well. And probably some people's going to get mad with me.
Yeah,
but
I'm one of those people.
You're probably one of those people. But you also find that, and I know a lot of people's circumstances, unfortunately, they find themselves homeless. They find themselves have to build a shack, having to live in a structure that they basically, that's the only way of and means of actually making a living and living the way they do. My thing is, if you're living close to a river, it's not advisable. Because once that river obviously rises, the reality of the fact is, people, that your house is going to be washed away. Your shack is going to be washed away. So if you find yourself in those circumstances, please go to a bit of higher grounds, I would say. As much as I'm not in for squatting and people living on this, squatter camps, but please, if you're going to be in low-lying place that is, it has water, you're going to have problems. You're going to have your house flooded. Why are you laughing?
This is one of those moments where you shouldn't laugh. Why would you can't build it on the riverbed, yeah. But
exactly. You're looking for trouble, so yeah. Can we move on, Dougal? So everybody knows, like I said, 18th of July is Mandela Day.
Yeah.
So
it's Mandela Month, isn't it?
It is Mandela Month. It's for us, for our schools concerned. So Mandela Day is the 18th of July, which is everybody, and for the youth out there that don't know it, it is his birthday, the 18th of July. Dougal, you know what? I find that where I'm finding myself with my age right now, sometimes I mention something to the younger generation and like, who's that? What's that? And
what?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, what? So you know what?
But surely South Africans know everything about Mandela.
No, I think, and I'll be honest with you. So I thought to myself, let's do something different regarding Mandela Day. Let's find out some fun facts or some facts that we didn't know.
Okay.
And I thought to mention those ones because I found that some of our youth actually don't know. And then you also probably, you mentioned something and I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that one. So we're basically going to do some facts, just a few things that we found out about Nelson Mandela. So First thing I want to ask Dougal is, do you know what his real name is? Not
All his
Nelson.
life.
There we go. Do you know what it means? So the name means pulling the branch of a tree. Yeah, that's what the name means. So in colloquial language, actually, as well, they refer him to a troublemaker. So I don't like going with that one, but I prefer the pulling of the branch. So yeah, that's what his name meant. And then Dougal?
The actual action of pulling the tree
pulling, it's basically pulling the branch of a tree. That's the meaning
like
of his name.
you snapping. Oh, okay.
That's it. Yeah, that's what the name means.
Okay.
So interesting. I didn't know that one. So yeah. And then, what was his favorite sport? And I think a lot of people know this one.
Boxing.
Does he? Yeah. And he obviously went to study, and he opened his own law firm, and they were the first. Thabo and Nelson Mandela opened a law firm, and they were the first black lawyers, or law firm, I should say, that opened up, and the first black law firm that obviously assisted people, helped people in their struggles. But then they found themselves in circumstances where obviously apartheid overwhelmed the circumstances, and it took up a lot of the time, so they couldn't really concentrate much on being lawyers and helping people as well. So yeah, that was a fun fact. I didn't know they were the first black lawyers to open up. Him and what did I say, Thabo? Was it Tambo?
Yeah,
Sorry, Tambo. So that was interesting. And then everybody, this was quite fascinating because I didn't know this. So when they were on Robben Island, when they were in prison, obviously, Nelson Mandela was very much against the way they were living in prison. And they would obviously then have hunger strikes. So the question was, how did he get this message across to everybody else to actually go on this hunger strike so that they could uplift their living conditions on Robben Island? And guess how they did this, Dougal? In little matchboxes and dirty dishes. So in between you put a piece of paper. So this is how he got his message across in prison. So that was quite fascinating. I'm like, oh, okay, look at you. Couldn't SMS, no cell phones, obviously. So yeah.
Unlike
Not like today.
in today's present life.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
WhatsApp, message you.
So the president even runs successful businesses as executives from prison, have meetings with people in New York and all of that. There's a comment, Rhoda. There's a comment. Let's jump in with a comment. Jabbar, hello. He says hello. We say hello to you, sir.
Hey, Nicole.
Nicole, hello. Says good evening, the usual suspect.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Lord Tina was on Robben Island.
Who's Tina? I was going to say, you probably know who's Tina. Yeah. So one of the other things, so the day Nelson Mandela was released, he had to do a press, obviously, conference. And when he got to the press conference, he then realized that he actually forgot his specs in prison. Can you believe it? And then he actually had to grab somebody else's specs. And I'm like, geez, how could he even do that? Because even if I give you my specs, Dougal, you are going to struggle to read with my specs. But yeah, so that was one of the things that happened as well. And then a sad fact was that his son passed away because of AIDS. And he actually made a public announcement regarding that. And he wanted to bring up the fact of HIV and AIDS. And people mustn't be scared. It's a real thing. People mustn't be scared to talk about it because his son passed away from that. And that's how he started Nelson Mandela Foundation, which focused on fighting HIV and AIDS. So that was one of the things I also didn't know, that I myself now obviously found out as well. And then obviously the United Nations actually proclaimed Nelson Mandela as Mandela's Day, the 18th of July. So that actually came from the United Nations.
From the UN, yeah. That is the day in which we do 67 minutes.
There we go.
That is the day we do it, which falls on a Friday this year.
Does it fall on Friday?
Yeah,
Wow.
So I've got a very busy day that Friday because of this. Starts quite early in the morning.
Sure.
There's plenty of
Crazy.
67 minutes. Let me just put it to you that way. But that's what we do. We
That's
gotta
what
do
we
it.
have to do.
We're making a difference. Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Was there any fun facts that you know of?
No, not really. Look, about a month ago, maybe not even, I had to go to Mthatha, and it was really fascinating because hours, because obviously just before you go past Kudu, which is, you know, he's sort of ancestral, but which way he went to school, but he was born like a bit further down, which is closer to East London side, closer to the Cairo side, with Mvezo, but there's quite a distance between them. Like, and you can imagine, like those days, you either had to ride on a horse or you had to walk, so it's quite a trek. But there's one interesting fact that I know, that he ran away from home because there was an arranged marriage.
What?
And I'm going to say this under correction. He was either meant to marry the girl that he was with, was like a cousin or a second cousin. But him and the girl, they both ran away. They weren't going to have it.
They weren't going to get married?
No, they weren't going to have
wow.
it. So they both ran away.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, like, or maybe the cousin ran away. I don't know why I'm thinking cousin, but something like that. I can't quite remember the story, but I know that. But
and that would have been obviously arranged marriage.
From where he grew up, it was an arranged marriage there.
Oh, that's crazy.
And he ran away. Whether that's true or not. So I don't know. But
we need to fact check that one.
Yeah, but that's what I've heard. So so hopefully you got your plans lined up for Mandela Day, because that is around the corner.
Yes,
and there's plenty for us to get involved in. So definitely get involved in something and be part of it. Just be the change you want to see. But also, this is so important because the 67 minutes, as we all know, is reflective of Madiba's service with society, and that's why we call it. And all we're doing is just 67 minutes. But it is very important when you, whatever it is you do, to really reflect and think how you can positively impact society. So definitely do that. That is what's happening next week, Friday, the 18th.
Definitely. Then we're going on some good news. So South Africa, and you know, we as South Africans, let's just put it out there. We love dancing. If we upset, we dance. We basically toy things like that. Then obviously you know for a fact that is us dancing, because we're upset about something. You never see us. Well, you know, overseas you see the people walking and they're just walking with the flags. Here we dance. So
maybe people don't take you serious when you dance about it.
But in South Africa we do, because you're making a statement. So South Africa won the the Dance World Cup. So that was the DWC's international dance competition they won. Yeah. So well done to South Africa. You made us proud, and you know what? I just knew it at the end of the day. They made it to the finals and they actually just won the competition. So well done to you, South Africa. I'm very proud of you. See, our dancing take us a lot of places to go. So don't take our dancing.
It's a lot better than that girlie you remember the Australian with the breakdance in the Olympics? You know that wasn't the real when she did that move.
Yes.
That move. I was like, hey, give a karate kid.
Breakdancing.
Walk like an Egyptian, isn't it?
Exactly.
And you knew that wasn't like a series.
You knew.
And now breakdancing is no longer part of the Olympics. That girl ruined it for everybody.
She ruined it for everyone.
I wanted to see a worm or something. That makes the news.
She attempted the worm. She attempted, but it didn't go well. It was a squashed worm.
I mean, I'm very good at breakdancing.
Are you?
Well, when I dance, things break. That's my point, but I'm not.
So everything
not
breaks.
Rhythmically, yeah. Oh dear. That's how I actually had a friend when I danced. I showed him a move, and then these were like professional dancers. And this was their. I showed the move. They were like, "Show him your move," and I was like so proud. And they went, "I shame." It wasn't the response I wanted.
That's not the response you wanted.
I was so proud of my move.
I shame.
Yeah.
Shame.
But anyway.
On to our sports, Dugald. So I know there's a few things that happened, obviously, over the weekend that we can talk about.
Yeah. First, let's talk about... I want to talk about this because the world of football was actually shocked last week.
Yeah.
Or not even last week. It was just the other day with the passing of number 20, Diogo Jota, the Liverpool forward. So, Rhoda, with this news early in the morning, because everything with Liverpool, of course, I follow, but... You know, when I saw this initially, I didn't believe it because I thought it was just a lie, falsehood, and then literally 2-3 hours later, early hours of the morning, we're talking, this is before 8 o'clock, this news was just everywhere. Himself and his brother passed away in a car accident. This is well documented now across the globe. And both of them, of course, lost their life in that fatal car accident. And what I said, obviously, Jota's got three very young children, got married about 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
So then his burial was held just the other day, over the weekend. That took place. But I mean, you won the Premier League, you got married, played for Portugal, they won the Nations League as well. So this was the best, outstanding time. Him and his brother, and I mean, just from a footballing perspective, regardless of the teams people support or whatever, but just seeing the whole sporting community, the footballing community just coming together, and everybody just like wow, and obviously giving him his flowers and giving him his respect, because what an outstanding player he was. So it was a bit of a he plays for my team as well, like your team as well. So
my team as well. Yeah, it was
so
sad.
It's a bit of a But anyway, so our thoughts are obviously with all his friends and family and
wife,
kid. So that was a bit sad. Very, very sad. But then obviously there was the Formula One Grand Prix that took place, the British Grand Prix in Silverstone. Yeah, so Lando Norris won the race. Yay. Come and do that here on our roads with the speed limit.
On our wet roads.
But I must be honest, I haven't been following the F1 as I normally do.
Yeah, because I'm impressed with you normally.
Yeah, but the cars are not as, they faster than my car now. You can't follow now. So, but anyway. Nico Hulkenberg secured his first career podium, finishing third. And Piastri obviously received a 10-second penalty for a safety car infringement, which is what everybody was talking about. Anyway, but the race was chaotic, I would say. But anyway, rain affected and all of that. Then over to rugby. This is the important thing, because we played the people who are known for pizza and pasta. That's who we played. The Italians.
That's right.
And the score was, it wasn't
what we expected, but
yeah. But considering how we played, I actually thought the Italians played better than I was initially going to give them credit for. I got to be honest. I wrote them off to 100 now before the game.
Italians?
Yeah.
Oh.
They're useless. Sorry, they not. Do you know what I mean? I mean, at the end of the day, 42-24. But we were playing in second gear. Let's be honest.
No, not even second gear. Basically third gear.
Yeah, we weren't really pushing it. So good game plan worked. I listened to the press conference. Everything was quiet. It was good. It was good.
I wasn't impressed. I watched the game. And for me, especially the the level of rugby that they're supposed to be playing, they weren't even in second gear, they were in third gear. South Africa was in third gear.
That's why I say, Italy is not...
They're not one of your top ranked playing games, really. And you know what was upsetting for me, Dougal, was the fact that there had 2 yellow cards against Italy. And that for me was an opportunity South Africa should have taken. They didn't do anything.
The thing is, and also considering the whole thing with the bomb squad now and the team selection and all of that, you got to understand what Rassi is trying to achieve, what the coaching team is trying to achieve with a game like that. I'm not saying they're throwing the game away, but you know what I mean? There might be 1 or 2 things that they try to achieve. However, you still want to see South Africa thump somebody 100 now. That's what I want to see. I want to see 100 now.
Exactly. But, especially against a team like that.
But we're now creating first world problems. We won the game. We won a test.
True.
That's it. I remember back in the 90s, Italy was really good.
Yeah.
Italy, foi toch pasta, man.
Pasta.
Spaghetti.
And then
spaghetti bolognese got you.
So they're playing again on Saturday because
Yes.
we had two games at the end of the day that came up as well. So,
Before we go,
Yeah.
the ref
oh Lord,
on Saturday.
okay. I
Now, what
oh,
happens now? Because this was a lady ref.
Yes.
So let me throw this in there. Sorry,
Okay,
let me
throw
just
it
jump
in.
back here. Is this now one where, because I heard this comment, I heard them already, because a lot of blame went on to the ref. Did the ref have a good game or a bad game? What do you say?
So for me,
There were good decisions and nonsense decisions.
yes.
Okay.
But more for me, she needed to focus a bit more on not concentrating on talking to you. Look what's happening on the left hand side, because there was a many a times within the rucks that a lot of Italy was catching on a lot of nonsense that wasn't picked up. High tackles. I mean, I was like, geez, there's two high tackles right in front of you. Why aren't you blowing for this? So there was those type of things where she was worried more about Elizabeth jumping to catch the ball and not concentrating what was happening on the right. So that was a bit frustrating for me. I've seen some other refs do that as well. And like you said, it was a woman ref.
So let me jump into it,
Yeah.
because
I've
this
seen
could
some guys
easily
do
be
it
the
as well.
male ref. And
I've seen them do it.
Yeah, who are worse.
Yes.
Way worse.
Definitely.
So obviously that takes the gender argument out of it. But there's been a lot of things thrown out. If this was a man, it would have been different. Now, is that normally? but that's an ignorant argument. That is, I think it is a stupid argument. But what it is, I think it is great that we're having this, that this is happening. I think it is great that it's a step forward, and it is.
It
And it
is.
speaks that it doesn't matter about the gender; it's about skill level.
It's
We're talking
skill
about a
level,
test,
skill level,
test
skill
level referee now.
Exactly.
This is what it's about.
And I spoke this weekend to somebody else as well, and I said, I've seen, they asked, is it because it's a woman? And I said, but I've seen the male refs
Much
doing
worse.
this as
Worse,
well.
worse refs.
Where they also concentrating, talking, and they're not looking what's happening on the
there's-
left hand side.
I can name a couple of referees that are not welcome even in the country.
Definitely,
So let's be honest.
Exactly.
They somewhere get you there by border, by passport control, stick it through you. You're not going to make it through. You know when they ask you, are you here on welcome to your funeral. Please. Yeah,
Please join the club.
No,
No, that's the truth. That's the truth. Yeah, so the ref was a bit of an issue, as far as I'm concerned. Me, I don't know, because she is obviously a professional ref, and does she need a bit more
It's just-
experience in
yeah.
it? Especially on a team like that, it's intense. So
Yeah.
you're always going to be having to be wary, because had they played against New Zealand or even Australia, that is very filthy players, and you are not watching that, because that's how they got away, was the fact that you can't with teams like that. This was Italy. You know what I'm saying? Come on. If Argentina was there, or even New Zealand, they would have gotten away with so much. If she just had to be more wary of the fact that watch what these guys are doing. They sly, hulle skelm. Watch.
But in terms of making the statement, in terms of progressing, in terms of inclusion, those boxes are certainly ticked.
Oh, most definitely.
And then what I'm trying to say is, this is why I'm bringing it up, because I thought there was a lot of unfair comments made towards the ref. And you want the ref to do well.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? And
exactly.
those unfair comments are not based on the performance.
Performance.
And that is where the criticism needs to
And
lie.
it's-
If you're going to
to me,
criticize, it needs to be based on the
exactly.
performance, not because of
the female or male,
or
that's
your skin color
irrelevant.
or something like that.
Exactly.
That would be stupid.
Exactly.
So, and for people to take now the problem is there's a lot of these comments happening, and these are the comments you see.
That's a sad part.
Do you know what I mean?
Exactly,
But here's the
exactly.
thing.
Yeah.
We know where we are.
We know we will.
Anyway, that is it for rugby. So Saturday
Yes.
there will be a huge pizza will be free, and there will also be lasagna free in the friendly city, formerly PE, now Gqeberha.
Gqeberha.
That's where it will happen, because the Italians are going to get sliced.
True.
There's a comment, Rhoda.
Easy.
Hopefully it's on this
Oh.
thing with the ref.
Nicole.
Tina
is
is mentioned in the national anthem. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
She was.
I didn't want
Nicole.
I didn't want to comment on it, but I knew that's what she meant. Tina.
Tina.
Luzapo. Yeah, there we go. Anyway, Hubert says the ref was absolutely clueless, no understanding of the rules whatsoever. Embarrassing at this level. Sex had nothing to do with it. Period. Yeah.
That's the rule.
That's it. Yeah. So horrible though. But the point is, it does add fuel to that argument, Hubert.
Oh.
That's the reality of it. Do you know what I mean? Because people are not looking at the skill level. People are basing it on the sex.
The sex at the end of the day.
And this is the thing.
Yeah.
And it's not, and to be honest, the people who are doing it are the idiots.
Yeah, I'm sorry to say it as well, because it purely came down to the fact it was crap reffing. I've seen, and I'm being honest, as a woman watching rugby and loving rugby, I've seen men do worse at the end of the day. So it had nothing to do with sex. It really came down to pure poor reffing.
The only thing I am going to criticize is that breakdance move.
What we say, Jay?
No.
And
a leg as well, wasn't there? There was one like that.
was a leg.
Because when I watched it the first time in the Olympics, I thought, okay, this is getting warm up.
Oh, gosh.
But when you don't do that,
Don't do that.
and then still wobble.
Can we move on, Dougal?
That's
So
what
South
quickly-
Africa.
The cricket.
No, before we go to the cricket, Dougal, please, we just spoke about ladies now. How can you forget about my ladies, my rugby, South Africa? They played against Canada. So how can you forget about that? So Canada's ranked second in the world. South Africa's ranked 12 in the world. So the number 12 and number 2 played. And obviously, the Canadians gave them a bit of a hiding.
Only
it was
because,
an interesting game.
only because, look, I didn't enjoy this game. As you can see, I let the South African run with the ball there. Just look at them. Who's that? My sister.
Your sister.
What's happening there?
Yeah, so Canadians gave them a hiding, obviously, but still South Africa gave them a tough time. It wasn't a major walkover, but they did give them a tough time. So yeah, well done, ladies. You know what? Perseverance.
Yeah, nice. Cricket.
Yes, now you can go to cricket, Dougal.
Yeah, the world test champions, South Africa, Proteas, obviously playing Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe.
Yeah, like, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Playing Zimbabwe. South Africa scored like 600 runs.
Jeez.
I wrote it down because I was going to forget. 626, and then got tired and declared for 5. And Vian Mulder scored 367, and there it is. This is huge. This is this is like the highest ever.
Wait, am I reading this right? 367 runs.
This is all. But what's impressive, he hit like something like 4 or 5 sixes, like 40 odd fours within the innings. It's huge.
Wow.
And and his name is Peter Willem, something. But he's known as Vian Mulder. I know he's got other names here. So he is a spy, but he plays for the Proteas. He's got other names. Anyway, he scored 300. Listen here, he scored 367.
Out of that, 636.
The 626, he scored 367.
Jeez.
Here's the thing, Hashim Amla many years ago had the 311. Brian Lara did the 400. Jay Warner did the Sri Lanka, did a big one. Matthew Hayden had a big one. This is the 5th highest test innings ever. Okay, it happened against Zimbabwe, but, because the Paralympic team wasn't available. Doesn't matter. But this is now day 2. So Zimbabwe now also wanted to bet. They scored 770. They were all out.
Wait. How much?
They also batted. 170, they were all out. And now they got to bat again, follow on. They already 51 for 1. So they're like 400 odd runs behind.
Gee whiz.
And it's day 2.
Yo.
And
How
this
is it?
No, you got to pray for rain now.
I was going to say
South Africa's
now,
already 1-0
we're
up.
gonna
You got to pray for rain now.
to be less embarrassed.
Yeah, why do you want to win this game? You already scored 300 runs, 600. That's all right. Take it and go. Take it and go. It doesn't change the test series, you know what I mean? It's already 2. It's going to be 1-0, So yeah, hopefully there's rain. We'll be praying tonight for rain. Where the game is taking place. Good luck, Zimbabwe.
Oh,
yeah, so it's
shame,
Africa in a pound position, man. That's good stuff.
Good stuff.
But 367.
Yeah, that's good. That's very good. Yeah.
Sure.
Well done.
Oh, Riyadh Boulder. My goodness.
Is that the wrap?
That's it. That's it.
We're having an early night tonight, Dougal.
We're having an early night?
Are you having soup tonight?
No.
Not having soup?
No.
Okay. You know, when it rains or storms, soup is supposed to be your option.
Soup.
I had soup.
I know what I'm
when I
having
get
tonight,
home
but
as
it's not
well.
soup.
Guys,
It's going to be snook.
swimming along. Guys, enjoy your week. Yeah, it's going to be raining again, I believe. And temperature's still going to be dropping, so stay warm.
Yeah. I want to see that photo again of the Canadian rugby player chasing in South Africa. Just check there. It does look a little like me.
Does it look like your family or yours?
Yeah. I want to see that photo
Were you
again.
playing this weekend, Dougal?
I was playing. Why do you think I'm so tired?
Is
Did I
that
tell
why?
you the story about Miami? You look there.
So if that was
With
your
a mouse
Abby,
guard, you can't tell.
so you say that's you, Dougal.
I'm saying that's
Then
me.
that must then be me with that scrum cap.
I'm going, yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Oh, guys, enjoy your rugby on Saturday. I for sure will be sitting in front of my screen watching the game. And like I said, stay warm. Dougal, stay warm.
And you, Rhoda, thanks. Cheers, everybody. We'll be back with you soon here on Mahala Monday. Remember to subscribe, like, and share. And of course, we'll be back next week.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.